everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now done by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. I have exciting news for you. Today, we finish and we get rid of Filoniverse. This is the last time we'll talk about it. Everything from here on out is pure Legends, baby. No controversial takes. No, like there's this one guy on YouTube called Mandor. He's really cool. And he's like, TCW, just boot it out. Boot it out. You're stupid if you include it. Frick you. But I did it. I did it pretty much unsuccessfully, but I did it. And now we're free, baby. Everything here on out, pure Legends. Now, of course, you saw the title of the video. I'm not talking about that first because we have a couple more episodes to get through. But what I will say is that the Son of Dathomir comic is the only comic that is both in the Legends and canon circle. It counts for both. And so, I mean, a lot of fans who don't like TCW obviously wouldn't include it, but it is technically both a Legends and canon book. It's the only book that falls under that category. And then I guess the movie novelizations, but those are like semi-canon to Disney canon because there's a bunch of EU references within those books. So, anyway, starting with TCW Season 5, Episode 1, with Maul coming back and everything, and it's fine. Hondo comes back. He's never been one of my favorites. A lot of people like him. I'm indifferent. Maul's trying to do stuff. Maul really comes off as kind of a tryhard who's stupid. Like, he does a lot of things. Like, he thinks 5 steps ahead, but not 10 steps ahead. Like, he can amass a giant army and everything. When it comes down to the brass tacks time, he can't do anything. He's no Palpatine, but I feel like he's trying really hard to be Palpatine, and I feel like he fails miserably every time. The biggest annoyance with this is Adigali dies in this episode, which is, of course, Imperial propaganda, because that is not how she died. But Filoni doesn't care. They could have literally used any other Jedi. In fact, that's probably what it was. You know what it probably was simply an unnamed Jedi that didn't matter in the grand scheme of things that went with Obi-Wan. And so they decided to spice it up by mentioning more famous Jedi. That will also be my excuse for a later thing, but we will get to that. Also, we are skipping Season 5, Episodes 12, or Episode 2 to 13, sorry. Because a lot of those are stupid and they don't really matter. I mean, those episodes, there are some of them that help connect to Disney canon, like if you like Rogue One and stuff, it connects to that. So if you're trying to go through the Disney canon in chronological order, then those episodes would be cool because you get to see that black guy, Saul Guerrero, or whatever his name is, from Rogue One. But since Rogue One is not in my timeline because it's not part of the Legends continuity, we are going to skip those episodes and just go right ahead to... I mean, I guess it is a part of the Legends continuity because it happened before the buyout, but still. I'm skipping them because they're not important in the grand scheme of things. And so we're going to go to the rest of Season 5, going from 14 onwards. We get Maul back, we get the new Mandalorians. Again, I've already talked about this for like a broken record. Essentially my excuse, because I have to do the job that EU would have done had it been continued, which is that Mandalore in the Clone Wars TV show, as I've interpreted it, we have 80% of Mandalore is how Karen Travis and other writers have described it. Okay? However, just like on Earth, we have different government structures, different faith systems. Not every single person follows the same thing, or believes the same thing, or is governed the same way. So while 80% of Mandalore is still that warrior type society, even though they've fallen far from grace, there is that, 20% that is trying something new, or that has been trying something new for a couple decades. That being the Mandalore we see in TCW. And that Mandalore is like America in the sense of its scope, which is why it would still have political power within the Senate and stuff because of its, America itself being a fairly big portion of America, though America being a big portion of the planet while not being obviously the entirety of the planet. There's a whole rest of the world that it exceeds America, but that is the best I can do. And of course, pre-Vizsla, Vizsla is a name from the Old Republic, so it's safe to assume that he's very prideful. And if he grew up in that society where the reforms were happening, sure, he could just like fly off to some other place, but it's his right, his people that he wants to fix to bring them back to how they should be, like the rest of the planet. So, is it perfect? Is it a perfect excuse? No, but I think it helps smooth out some of the problems with this arc. That being said, despite that, the acting is phenomenal. Everything with Maul is great. Um, and of course, Satine dies in this show. Spoilers if you haven't seen this old show. But yeah, the other. We're not going to talk about the one from Stealth and Gambit by Karen Miller. His sex buddy, who died from a fish. Nope. But we have Siri, his childhood friend who he had a small fling with, and then they dropped it for their Jedi oaths. But always had that kind of lingering, even though they never did anything with it after the fact. And she died earlier on in the Clone Wars, and by the end of the Clone Wars, he loses his other love that he never really got to do anything with, which was Satine. Died by Maul, which of course sucks. However, the absolute best part of this entire arc that makes it all worth it is that Sidious takes it upon himself to stop Maul. He comes to America Mandalore himself and takes down Savage and Darth Maul. Say what you will. Maybe it's stupid. Maybe, I don't know logistically how that works. But I have to say, watching him laugh and have a good time, because he's been stuck up for 10 years being unable to really do any of this, to be able to enjoy that, was a sight to behold, and it was absolutely, positively glorious. And it ends with Maul being electrocuted and screaming in pain. So that's pretty great. Moving ahead, we have the last couple episodes with Ahsoka being framed for murder. This was a wonderful send-off to the show. I really have no issues with how this ends, except for the big, big thing within this show. The big problem, which is Barriss Offee being the traitor, being the one to frame Ahsoka. It is so out of character for Barriss to do this. You either have to come with some convoluted excuse as to how she was able to do this, or you just do the Compnor excuse. And I think I have the perfect way of going about this too. Because there's no way to justify this. If you read MedStar, there's no way in hell that Barriss is this character. They're not the same person. So here's the best thing I got for you. Ahsoka had a best friend from childhood at the temple. During the Clone Wars, she's with her master and stuff. She didn't really have time to see her friend. But her friend was in the war too, as a Padawan. And over time, she got disillusioned to the Jedi Order. This is, some nobody Jedi, somebody who isn't well known within the history records, because she didn't accomplish very much. She was just there. And so she frames Ahsoka, and the events of the episode happen. However, for the Imperial propaganda, they wanted to spice it up, and obviously a nobody isn't going to do anything for that. So they used a Jedi more famous, but still didn't particularly do a lot during the Clone Wars. So a lot of scrutiny probably wouldn't be had. And that was Barriss Offee. That's the best I can do. Is it perfect? No, but that's my excuse. And then the only other thing is, because I know we're going to see Ventress again in Legends, in the Obsession comic, Now she loses her memory, so maybe that smooths over fine, but at this point in time, she's a bounty hunter. I don't know if that's going to contradict anything later on, but at this time, she's not an active villain, but she's not a hero either. She's just kind of neutral at the moment. Um, but that's a thing. That being said, you know, I really felt the despair, the hopelessness that, and Ahsoka has never been one of my favorite characters at all. Uh, but, seeing her on the run, nobody believing her, I felt for her, to an extent, because that's a sucky situation to be in. And then the Jedi being like, "Oh, this was your Jedi trial all along." Like, shut up. You just want to get rid of her. And so she Riley leaves the Jedi Order. And then you have that whole moment at the end with the Anakin be like, "I know you feel," and then she leaves. And I think that's a beautiful way to end the show. Then we got season 6 and 7. 7, of course, is Disney canon, so we're not going to talk about it. And season 6 contradicts far too much. And before I talk about the Son of Dathomir comic, the reason they were not talking about season 6 is because season 6 introduces the brain chips in the clones, which was never a thing before. So that's not canon to Legends. That's only a Disney canon thing. So that's already very contradictory. We also have Sifo Dyas still alive for some reason, insane. Why would Sidious allow such a risk to exist? Even if he's insane, why would you ever allow Sifo Dyas to live? You would kill him immediately, so that way there would be loose ends would be non-existent. So that is also a huge glaring problem. The other glaring problem is that in season 6, Yoda goes to talk to Finis Florum, who at this point in time is most certainly dead because he was assassinated by Palpatine in the Republic comics. So that cannot be a thing. And for all those reasons, I have just decided that season 6, more than anything else, because I really don't know how you can't do the Imperial propaganda thing with season 6, because that would show that the Jedi were deceived by Palpatine, which obviously Palpatine, even if he's the Emperor, still has to be seen in the good light. So they wouldn't do that. So there's no way to rectify season 6. So I'm just yeeting that entirely. As for season 7, that's entirely Disney canon, so we're not touching it. Moving on to the Son of Dathomir comic, we start off with Sidious talking to Maul being tortured. So we can assume he's been there for a while. He escapes. Of course, that's what Sidious wanted, because Mother Talzin is still around, and she's the only formidable threat to Palpatine in the grand scheme of things, one who could rival him in power, and so he wants to get rid of her, which he does by the end of this comic. Maul gets away, which is kind of annoying. Now, of course, for those who have seen season 7 of TCW, you know what happens for the Disney canon version. What I would say is something similar went down, minus Ahsoka showing up. I don't think he had some big, awesome fight scene. By the end, I think, he was with his criminal empire. However, when Order 66 came awry, it messed up a lot of things, scattered his people, and he went into hiding. And then we will see him again in the Visionaries comic, which, by the way, was not actually canon. It was a what-if kind of tale. However, Dave Filoni used that idea, even though he says that I came up with that idea, but he didn't. He got it from the comic and made it in the TCW show. You could kind of actually probably make that work into the continuity. So now that Visionary's tale is probably canon, but we'll get to that down the line. Anyway, guys, that is it. We're officially done with the Filoni-verse. No more. From here on out, it's pure Legends. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed suffering with me, give it a thumbs up. Sharing episode a ton. I know I bagged on this show a lot, but I have to say, these last couple episodes, I don't really have too many complaints about. A lot of gripes and stuff with continuity, having to put a lot of patches on it, but overall I think they were directed well, I thought they were acted well, and they were fun to watch. So I've ragged on this show a lot, but I did enjoy the last bit of what I watched. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you as we reach ever closer to episode 3. Till next time.